0, and liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. We've got an exciting show. Please help me welcome the one and only Juan Paez-Romero, Business Performance Advisor at Insperity. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I've been excited for this opportunity. So,
yes, well, we're happy to have you. We're very excited about what we're going to talk about today, and I also want to welcome and recognize the man on the soundboard, Mr. Jorge Pezo Candelario.
What's going on, everyone?
Our director of web development here. Thank you. Yes, the fans go crazy when they hear his voice.
Wild.
They do. They love him. Well, you have another name that you go by, a moniker, if you will, of the Obi-Wan of LinkedIn.
Yeah, I've been given that name by a one person that just landed with it, and I just ran with it.
So you need to start carrying a lightsaber and
pretty
wear
much.
a brown hooded robe, for the full picture. But you've gotten that reputation because I've witnessed this explosive growth that you've had on LinkedIn in recent years, and we just want to kind of give our listeners a bit of those strategies. I think it's important. It's for many, it's the land of the unknown. It can be intimidating. You got all these C-suite people hanging out there, but you've really gotten to become again a Jedi of networking on LinkedIn. So why don't you share some of the strategies, some of the things that have worked for you? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think you touched on a point where such a large percentage of the population believe that LinkedIn is a professional setting, that when you get into the job sector, you create one, and that's about it. That's really all they do, right? They set up a profile and they leave it at that. I was that, when I was in the professional setting.
Kind of like set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it, right? But it's not that, right? There's so much more that goes into it, and whether you're a business owner, an individual, someone getting into the job market, there's so many capabilities that you can use in LinkedIn's leverages to get to whatever you're looking to. But there's a lot of things that go into that, right? There's persistence, right? You need to make sure that you're showing up, so it's not a set it and forget it profile, because there's many of those, and there's always going to be those, but those aren't going to get anywhere. They're not going to get you anything. And if you think about when you're shopping for a product or service, you go to someone's profile or a company's profile to get reviews or to get who they are, testimonials. Your LinkedIn's the same exact thing. But if you're not producing anything, then there's nothing that they're going to get out of it, right?
Right. It's kind of like the Yelp of business.
Yeah, Google reviews. Google Yellow Sheets.
Yeah, Google reviews. So I noticed the algorithm has changed over the last year, 2 years, maybe post-COVID, if you will, where they've added the support buttons and the likes and the hearts and the celebrate and they've made it more Facebook-like or more social media. I say like social platform. It is social media, but it's gotten more engagement, a higher level of engagement, if you will.
I would change the word to personalized. Or personal to an extent. I think
less corporate, more
personal. Now, is it a Instagram or Facebook? Absolutely not. Is it a mixture of all three? I think that's where it's going to. That's where it's kind of been leading within the last couple of years. And I think it's because
what do you think the driving force is behind that?
I was going to our time, right? So in today's
time is currency.
Time is currency, but more in regards to just who we are as individuals, where we want to work with people that either we like, we know, or we want to work with. But if it's just this professional setting that's just all
sterile,
corporate, and you just buttoned up, you never see an individual's personality. You never see an individual of who they are outside their 9 to 5. So within this last kind of like culture change of putting more of that personal story, more of who the individual is, kind of has expanded this like, hey, I could share my personal story. I could share maybe a little bit about my kids or my hobbies, my interests. Because at the end of the day, if there's something that you connect with that individual that ties to you, you're most likely either going to connect or whatever the service.
Yeah, I think you hit on something, because I would say maybe 10 years ago I was out there, speaking at SCORE and giving tips of how to establish your digital footprint. I remember saying things like, well, make sure you add in your profile bio that you like fishing, because if you're a financial advisor, then maybe if I like fishing and you like fishing, that might be the differentiator between, you know, the other 1,000 financial advisors on there. But I think that as social has evolved and maybe society has devolved in some ways, our attention span's shorter. We don't read as much or less. Video has gotten higher engagement. And I noticed when you first came on the scene with Insperity, you started putting out these videos. And they were very like vulnerable, if you will. Like you screwed up and you kept going. And tell us a bit about that, because I think remember that being kind of the nucleus of your reemergence on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And it goes back to being just yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people have flaws. And there's a couple of videos that I do in my kind of sales approaches that I'll record like a FaceTime video of myself and send it to a prospect. But I'm not reading off a sheet. Just like any of my videos, I'm not reading off a script, because if there's a mess up, that's all right. We all mess up. But it's the vulnerability of being like anybody else. But going back a little bit, you know, there's still some basics that we need to keep in mind with LinkedIn. You need to have a completed LinkedIn profile, right? From start to finish, right? A professional headshot. Put in your about. Put in your experience, your roles, and make sure it's up to date, right? That's something we all kind of forget because, you know, again, we create it and we just go on. But set that foundation. That will be the foundation that everyone kind of goes to, does a 20-second review, and moves on to your post, which gets to the post, right? Anything could be a post. Nowadays, I'll sit at home. Usually my creativity is at night or in the morning. And then I'll go to my pictures and say, boom, that's my post.
You've done some, I would say innovative approaches to this, where you'll post your family. Things that I didn't see on LinkedIn 6 months ago or a year ago. You haven't posted a sandwich yet, but maybe that's coming. But it's usually your family or some kind of family activity. And then you write a long post. Almost like a blog style.
It's a journal. Like, it's honestly kind of become this like personal journal of my lifestyle. Actually, I have some metrics for you guys here. One of my highest posts, which was the celebration of getting to 11,000. My parents made me empanadas, so I went and picked them up. And that post
had
over
11,000
followers.
Okay.
That post had over 10,000 impressions.
Wow.
It reached over 10,000 people. And it wasn't a networking post. It wasn't a sale. It wasn't an introduction of a product or service. It was a personal story of how my parents celebrated me to 11,000. People connected with that. People found some collaboration, whether it was through the ethnicity, the background, or just enjoying a story.
I wonder if it's just also refreshing on a business platform to see something that's not business.
All of the above. I think it goes back to the old adage we've talked about a number of times, is the reason people will choose you as a vendor to do business with you is because they like you or not. And being vulnerable, being relatable, being authentic, that's a difference maker, because everybody's kind of projecting this. You don't meet them, you meet the representative. And that's, you know, when you first meet somebody, you're trying to make a good first impression.
Correct.
That authenticity is just a shell, right? You're putting up a facade of, hope this person likes me, and here's the person I'm going to project, versus showing your authentic self. I think that's a huge difference maker.
I get this word a lot of refreshing when they see my posts, because, you know, when you're scrolling and you're doing everything, you get a post that, one, it's a random picture of myself or a collaboration or someone that I met with, and then you get a text that's different. Like, for example, strap in, follow along, and read this with me. Or I start with like a Lil Wayne verse from a rap song. And it's like, hold on. Where was I? What am I doing? And it kind of stops them to say, let me read. And it just like catches them off guard.
And you just started doing a new series, The Cup of Juan. Maybe tell us about that.
Yeah. So, you know, in my industry and what I do with Insperity, the goal is to introduce our services to small to medium-sized businesses throughout of all Connecticut. But through these conversations, I've been noticing that the people I work with not only have great products or services, but they're kind of monumental in our industry, in our community, and what they do as a everyday human being. I wanted to expose that. I wanted to share more of who they are as individuals. And through the collaboration of Sound Coffee with Jeff in Bridgeport, we partnered together to make a Insperity blend of coffee. So when I'm working with individuals or people that I want to share their story with, I start this episode of Cup of Juan and I share who they are. The fun, the bad, the hard, but it's just a fun, light kind of conversation.
Yeah, and you've got it down to episode numbers and
we're at episode 10, I believe, that I just released. It's fun. It's creative.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So when we come back, we're gonna find out your background, your story, how you got to Insperity and beyond.
Perfect.
Wondering what to do with your old smartphones or outdated computer equipment? Do you know what hackers can do with your sensitive personal data when you are leaving behind on these hard drives? The team at National E-Waste Services understands the importance of protecting sensitive information and the environment. Their services also include the safe and discreet disposal of battery banks, cables, phones, and more. For more information, visit nationalewasteservices.com.
3, 2, 1. Launch frames.
And we're back. Please join me once again in welcoming Juan Paez-Romero, Business Performance Advisor at Insperity. Welcome back.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
So many gems were dropped in that first segment. Thank you. Thank you. Now it's time for you to tell us your story.
Absolutely. And my story goes back to 2000. Back in 2000, my parents decided that it's time to come to the U.S. To give us new opportunities. So at that time, my dad had already been in Connecticut with one of my aunts, and my sister, my mom, and myself were still in Ecuador. So in 2000, we came to Connecticut. I still ask my parents why Connecticut out of the entire U.S. Still no clear answer to that. But, you know, when we made that transition, it was tough. You know, I've already graduated kindergarten in Ecuador, and then coming to the U.S., I was told you have to restart it. You have to redo it. You know, now being 31, I'm very thankful I did because I kind of started from ABCs, the building blocks, right? 1, 2, 3 and everything. But when I came to the U.S., I didn't know a word of English, right? It was a new world, a new people. You know, it's just something I was never familiar with. And that kind of shaped the rest of my life. I entered kindergarten, and my very first couple of days, I was an alien. No one spoke to me. They didn't know who I was or why I was there. And from that moment on, I just said it that I'm never going to let that happen to any other individual if I have the opportunity.
That feeling?
To help, yes, that feeling. The feeling of being left out, being strangered, looked at like you're something else. Different. And that kind of molded me into who I am and what I was. But during those first couple of years, I didn't see my parents. You know, they worked 3 jobs, Monday through Sunday. I went to school. My sister would take me to karate. And that's what we did for X amount of years until, you know, we had the opportunity to move on to something better, which was purchasing our first home in Derby, Connecticut. And at that time, my parents had been working so hard, and they had the opportunity to become entrepreneurs. So my mom is a business owner at Zinfandeli's Cafe in Tower 6, and my dad is a business owner as well in Tower 6 for Camilo's Car Care. But it's funny because a lot of the people that we've met from cleaning Mr. Cinto's office, doing their cars, washing their cars, serving their food, right? We were always just employees until the opportunity came to become business owners and entrepreneurs here in the United States. And everything that happened until then, man, I just give my blood, sweat, and tears to my parents because they taught us the grit, the work, what it takes to get something when you're determined to get there.
Absolutely. I mean, they're some of the hardest working people, but also the kindest, humblest.
Yeah.
And family is super important to you.
The most important. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to marry such an amazing partner, Brittany, who has kind of adapted to our culture. And I'd always tell this story, but when we started dating, every celebration, someone sneezed and we have a party of 30 people. And she was like, is it always like this? And I was like, yes, it is always like this. And that will never change. But now, 10 years into our marriage, our kids and everything, we cherish those celebrations, those moments of being together. And again, that goes back to who we are and the culture that my parents set for us.
I crack up every time I see he's like, we were talking about Fantastic Four. So Juan is like the Thing of his family, Ben Grimm of his family. Because I see you picking up your dad, up off his feet. But I know he's expressed it so many times how proud he is of you. What were some of the expectations they had for you, and when did you first discover a gift for business? Was it in the DNA, or did they encourage you to pursue college and things of that nature?
A mixture of things. I think our DNA has always been hardworking, no matter what it is. But most importantly is treat others the way you want to be treated, regardless of their status or their currency. And that just resulted into success, right? The opportunity to get to where they are. And my goal is to be there plus more for my children. But as entrepreneurs and business owners, the thought and that memory of helping others always stuck with me. So I went to Gateway Community College part-time. I worked full-time at Barna Financial Group. And then I had the opportunity to go to Sacred Heart to be the first one in my family to obtain my bachelor's. And from there, I actually wanted to get into law enforcement. I wanted to be...
I could see that. You
and
got the
was,
tactical gear on today.
That was my goal, the shape, right? And unfortunately, due to legal statuses, that wasn't an option. Mm-hmm. Now, working at a wealth management firm, we were protecting individuals, right? Protecting families. God forbid something happens. So the kind of help and the opportunity to help others was still part of my everyday. Mm-hmm. And then after 8 years, I was like, okay, what else is out there? What else can I do? And a recruiter called me, and it was pitching different jobs. I'm like, yeah, it's not for me. And he goes, you seem pretty personable. Why don't you do recruiting? And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. My wife landed her dream job at Yale Hospital. I was the stable one. We purchased our home. I was like, all right, let's go. So 3 years ago, when I went into recruiting, is when this whole LinkedIn collaboration kind of sparked, because I was like, let go.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, you're not behind a computer Monday through Friday.
Was recruiting in between Barnum and Insperity?
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So it was Barnum for 8 years, stepped into the recruiting world, found out of LinkedIn and what its capabilities were, and it just went up.
I mean, that's your platform.
That's my platform.
That's your drug of choice.
Absolutely. Brittany's like, what are you on LinkedIn? I'm like, listen, it pays our bills, right? So it's like, it's scary to kind of see the screen time, but it's all LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's all LinkedIn.
Yeah, it shows. But you've built a robust following.
Yes.
And network. So tell us about Insperity, how you landed there. I know they have a great culture.
Yeah.
Kind of how you're leveraging LinkedIn and increasing your ability to help folks.
Absolutely. So with LinkedIn, I was fortunate enough when I was with Barna Financial Group, the owners made the right decision to partner with Insperity. So when I was a Barnum employee, I was using it.
Okay,
right?
great.
So that was our HR platform that we used during that time. So I used it as an employee. Went into the recruitment space for 3 to 4 years. And then it was time for me to come back because I was fully remote. This was like the COVID time. And I wanted to get back to a setting where I have a personal touch, but still doing stuff remote. And Insperity was the perfect blend of that. With Insperity, the goal is to work with small to medium-sized businesses and kind of alleviate a lot of those people problems, right? So whether it's the payroll, the time and attendance, the health benefits, and with today's times, health benefits are just increasing year over year. Renewals are being affected because of the high utilization of benefits. Our goal is to work with small to medium-sized businesses and provide them two things: stability and protection, right? Protection on the health benefits, stability on renewals, but more importantly, give what's best for their employees.
Excellent. And some of the folks there that you work with, shout outs?
I mean, listen, I tell this story every time. Mike Datuzzi, he's my district manager. And my first interview, having interviewed with a competitor in the industry, I came out of a interview that was, tell me your KPIs. What are your metrics? President's Club, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, here, like, boom, boom, boom. I sat down with Mike, and the first thing he said was like, what are your kids' names? What do you do? What do you like to do? And then we got to the KPIs and everything. So from the get-go, I knew like these are people that I want to work with. These are individuals that I see myself being more than just colleagues. You know, we share personal stories, our kids, our wives. You know, it's refreshing to go to work every day and work with individuals like that.
Absolutely. I love Mike. And I'm glad that's who I was referring to shout him out. Maybe some networking strategies that have helped you get the Insperity brand out there, some tactics, and maybe share a success story or two.
Yeah, I keep it fun. If you have fun with it, you don't work a day in the life, right? And for me I think people say read the room, right? They say that. But when I say it's more read and listen to certain bits and pieces that you can connect a little bit further with. So I'll bring something out that's pretty unique and different into what I do in my
He's got a goodie bag here,
in my consulting networking kind of thing. And GT3RS. So if anyone knows Ramon, they know Ramon loves his Porsches. But how can you take it a little bit further? Well, why don't you make a collab between Peralta Design and Insperity?
Nice.
That ties kind of both industries, both interests, both hobbies. And I bet you no one else has come in here and given you a collab.
Absolutely not.
And it just, it takes it to the next step of how much do you know an individual that you can connect on the next level. So, you know, when we come to
something personal.
Exactly. So when we come to the selling and the education of Insperity, when it comes to finances, it's more of a what's the word? Not liquid conversation, but just like it's more easy flowing because you've built such a good kind of connection with one another. It's deeper.
You kind of build the bond, and in turn, you kind of bring down those walls that people tend to keep from one another, which often tend to stymie communication, collaboration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've made it into, you've taken it beyond just transactional.
Exactly.
And now you've made it more, you know, you've built that relationship.
Yeah. And these things like, listen, I have a Cricut at home, so I did this myself. But like, I do this with a lot of people because my goal is to work with individuals that I want to work with, right? And vice versa. But these little things just take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's dope. I love it. And I think what you're describing too is quality over quantity. It's not like knowing thousands of people, but knowing a few very well.
Exactly.
Depth over width.
Yeah.
Same thing. Have deeper relationships, more meaningful relationships.
Absolutely.
Versus being acquaintances with folks. You know, it's something that I think is another great gem you've dropped. Give us an example of the type of businesses that you would like to work with, and what you've done for some of them that has kind of changed their metrics.
Absolutely. You know, when we as Insperity are looking to make an impact at organizations, there's this type of DNA that we're looking out for. And it's the simplest way to put it is they believe that their employees are their most valuable asset. Right. So when we are looking for organizations, they're talking about culture. They're talking about what can they give their employees so they can be an employer of choice? What can they offer their employees so maybe they could relieve some of that stress that they have in our everyday life? Those are individuals and organizations that we want to partner with because as an Insperity partnership, we are also bringing the best benefits, the best EAP program, the best offerings for them to have for their children, whether it's through their benefit costs, their benefit options. And by having that partnership, we're allowing them to give their employees the best option out there. So as long as they truly believe that their employees are their most valuable asset, there's some meshing there.
So let's manifest something here because it's no secret. I put out a video earlier this year. Last year was brutal, and I just kind of wanted to share what was on my heart.
Yeah.
Had a new grandson, and so now I'm looking at like what's the 10-year plan look like.
Absolutely.
And M&A is definitely something whether Jorge takes over or we both exit and we ride into the sunset and do something else, you mentioned a way that Insperity can help companies that are looking for M&A in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that the Insperity partnership does is...
And M&A is mergers and
acquisitions, correct. Yeah. One of the kind of leverages that Insperity does with the partnership is a traditional business is set up in a model where they have a payroll vendor, a broker benefits vendor, a workers' comp vendor, multiple technologies, multiple expenses. Allow us to kind of step in and be a one-stop shop for all your HR needs. So let's say a acquisition is taking place and someone's looking at Peralta Design. Well, they know they're with Insperity. So on a platform basis, it's a one-stop shop. On a medical offerings, it's a one-stop shop. On a technology, right? It's just everything's bundled nicely and taken care of, right? There's compliance that we take effect in. So on a legal compliance side, you're taken care of. It's just a much easier transition, whether it's an M or an A, right? Merger or an acquisition.
And the fees in comparison, we were discussing this earlier. Yeah. It's like equivalent to having one. You basically getting a full suite of services for like one salary of a HR
less
person
in today's world, right? Employees are costing a lot. So the services and everything is a fraction of a full-time employee. But you're getting much more than that with the partnership.
Excellent. So before we get into the promo section, you're a big fan of Disney. So why don't you give us a little bit about your favorite rides and your favorite attractions?
My wife has transitioned me over to Disney Holic. We have a timeshare down there. I'm not kidding. It's Disney.
And you took the kids. You've been there, right, with the kids.
So we actually went for Thanksgiving. And Camila turned 1 on Thanksgiving. So we took my parents and we spent Thanksgiving at Disney. Listen, when you go to Disney, I think it's a different experience. You don't have to worry about a car. You don't have to worry about nothing. We did the meal plan. So you just show up, you eat, and that's it. And I'll tell this story.
So you're a Disney greater than Universal, or do you like both? Or
no. Disney all the way. Universal could kick rocks.
I'm so interested that you said that because my daughters just went with their mom, and my youngest came out of the whole experience, and she loves Disney.
Yeah.
Listen, we watch every movie.
She get converted?
She was 100% converted. I was like, so which one's better? Which one did you have more fun at? And she was like, Universal was the best.
Did she go to Epic, the new one? Yeah, because that's got Mario Land and Donkey Kong Country.
But even like the monsters.
Yeah, the monsters, the classic monsters.
She loved that. But she's a Disney girl at heart. Like, we've gone and seen, like, she loves Zootopia. We sing all the songs.
It's iconic. Mickey.
I mean, she loves it. But
Pluto.
I'm just curious to know your perspective in there, because I was shocked. Like, you're a Disney girl, and you said you had more fun at Universal.
Maybe as you get older, you get a little playtime at Universal, but you always come back to Disney. You always come back.
You're like,
to Disney.
It's a phase. You'll come back.
Exactly. Like when you have a kid, you're not gonna bring them to Universal for King Kong. No, you're gonna bring them to Disney to see Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh, the classics, the OGs. Yeah. So it's one quick story. We were just in Disney with my parents, and we did the meal plan. And with the meal plan, everything's paid for. So whether you got the steak, the filet, whatever, it's paid for. And my parents never experienced that. So we got to the first restaurant. My dad's like, I could order the 14-ounce steak? I was like, yeah, absolutely. He ordered it. The next day, he goes, I could order this again? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. My dad had like 30 ounces of steaks in 3 days. And the 4th day, he goes, Juan, I need to eat a salad. I need to eat he's like, I'm like, no, you're eating steak every day because we paid for it. But it was a cool
I think
experience.
That's awesome to give back to your parents.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So tell our listeners what's the best way to reach you, to learn more about Insperity and how you can help their business.
It'd be silly of me not to say, find me on LinkedIn.
It won't be hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So Juan Paez-Romero, LinkedIn. I'm on that more than I'm on any other social media. But please shoot me a call, shoot me a text. My cell phone is 203-954-7618. If you are a business owner, an employer, and you want to give what's best to your employees, please reach out. It doesn't cost anything to do a proposal. It doesn't cost anything for us to show you the pros and cons of what Insperity or non-Insperity could do. It's just a conversation, and if it could help you in the long run, that's all we want to do.
Definitely worth a look and a connection. Juan is the man. He is the Obi-Wan of LinkedIn.
Maybe you'll get a Porsche. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, I got one today, so thanks. I'm going to put this on camera here. It's going to go in my office with all my other collectibles. Thank you. Thank you for being a class act.
Yes.
And thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.